Hey you guys, this is the Kaizen Man welcoming you to the Kaizen Project. Thank you so much for joining in for today's chest and core flow. For today's class, we're going to be needing a yoga strap. If you don't have a strap, all good. You can use a belt or a scarf. Just make sure it's sturdy and it allows you to grip with a wide grip for the practice today. If you have a yoga block, you can use that as well for the practice. If not, if you have a heavy bound book, something with a hard cover that you don't mind putting some weight on, you can use that as well. And for any of my classes, just keep in mind that you don't have to take any variation that does not feel good. Listen to your body, listen to your breath. If a particular movement doesn't feel good, take a different option or maybe skip ahead to the other exercise. For today's class, we're going to start off comfortably lying down on our back. So go ahead and get comfortable, get settled in, let your body feel the support of the earth underneath you. Finding your breath, letting your muscles get a little softer, allow your body to get a little heavier, allow the eyes to close. I'm just checking in with your body, with your breath. Allow your thoughts to drop out of your head and feel the awareness coming inside your body. And to start the practice off, we're going to walk our feet to the right edge of the mat. Lift your left foot, cross it above the right ankle, lift the arms overhead and take it all the way to the right side of the mat. And you want to get as long in your left side body as possible here. Breathe into that space. Inhale, come back to center, walk the hands and the feet to the opposite direction, crossing right leg over the left and stretching to the other side. And you want to get that side body lengthening here. Inhale, come back to center. Lifting your right leg into the chest, interlace the fingers together around the shin. Flexing both ankle and toes, keeping that left leg pressing down against the mat. Releasing the right leg, lifting the left leg on the inhale, fingers together around the shin. Look to pull your thigh as close to the chest as possible. And releasing. Let's lift both legs into your body, wrap the arms around the shins, curling into a tight ball. Squeezing here, nose between the knees. And getting ready for a core workout here, straightening out the left leg. Bring the fingers together around the back of the head. Keep that right leg where it is. We're going to lift that left elbow, bring it to the right knee on the exhale. Come back on the inhale and switching legs, right elbow, left knee. We're going to go back and forth here, coming back on the inhale, switch legs, and then twisting as you lift on the exhale. Go at a pace here that works for you. Try not to make your movements jerky. You want to maintain a nice steady rhythm all the way through. And try to keep your upper back off the mat as much as possible. Keeping the legs active, not letting gravity take over. Moving with the breath. Let's bring that right leg back and release. And dropping the right foot on the mat, touching the ankle with your fingers and lift the hips and lift that left leg, pointing your toes. You want to activate through the core here. You can lift that left leg higher if you wish to or keep it level with the knee. Working with a level that works for you, pressing into the hands, pressing into the back of the head. Look to keep your pelvis even as well. Holding here, continue breathing and dropping the leg on the exhale, and from here let's straighten out the right leg as well. Lifting the left leg, fingers together around the shin, and then bring the fingers together around the back of the head. Bicycle kicks, right elbow, left knee, inhale center, switch legs, and exhale twisting. Finding a rhythm here. If you want to speed up a little bit, you can totally do that. If you want to slow down and really feel that burn in your midsection, find a pace and rhythm that works for you. Again, try not to scrunch your neck too much. Try not to pull with your arms. You want to have the strength coming from your midsection and not from your arms and hands pulling on the back of the head. Let's bring the left leg into the chest. Squeeze it in and then releasing. Plant that foot down and then getting ready to lift, pushing into the hands, letting your right leg lift, pointing your toes so that entire leg is connected to the hip as one active unit. If you want to lift that leg from here, maybe rotate the hip, totally any of the options here work. Just make sure that your pelvis is staying stable, your left knee, the grounding leg, is staying directly planted above the ankle. So not moving that leg at all, keeping everything as still as possible. Modified bridge, where you connect the upper and lower body and strengthening in the midsection. Exhale to bring that seat back down, straightening both legs. And from here, we're going to plant both feet down on the mat, hip width distance apart, coming into a Setu Bandhasana or bridge. Touching the heels with your fingers, lifting in the chest. And then adding some movement here. Inhale, bring the seat down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, bring the spine down. Lightly tap the seat on the mat and exhale to lift off. Again, you want to try and isolate the muscles in your midsection and use them to lift the hips up and open through the chest. Going 5 times in total. Then bringing the knees into your chest, arms around the shins. And as you plant the feet down on the mat, hip width distance apart, let's reaching up with your fingers. This time we're going to try and peel the back of the head and shoulders off the mat, but keep the feet planted. We're going to do this 5 times in total. Try to come up a little bit higher each time. You want to try and bring your chest as close to the thighs as possible, but not using momentum to lift up. So you're using the strength in your midsection, keeping the feet planted. Coming up for the last time. This time you can bring the hands down on the mat next to you to bring your seat up off the mat, and then walk the hands forward, transitioning into a standing forward bend. You can keep your knees slightly bent here, and then wrapping your arms, rocking side to side, nodding your head back and forth, getting your spine to lengthen from the tailbone all the way to the head. Rocking side to side if that feels good. Maybe bobbing up and down gently, coming up halfway on the inhale. Activating through your midsection, lengthening through your spine, and then exhale, passive forward bend, Uttanasana. Come up halfway, inhale, flat back, and releasing on the exhale. Moving through that motion, planting your palms, and from here, stepping your feet back, coming into a tabletop shape. Hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. Curling your toes under, and just take the knees off the mat just a couple of inches, letting your shins be parallel to the earth, pushing into the hands, lifting up through your midsection. Again, keeping that core active as much as you can for the practice. Keeping the hands pushing down, shoulder blades separated. Exhale, bring the knees down. Inhale, arch the low back, draw the belly looking up. Exhale into a rounded back cat pose. Going back and forth, inhale, looking up, open the chest. Exhale, rounding the spine, tailbone reaching to the mat. And you can take your time waking up your spine. If you want to add in any other movements, please go ahead and really slow down as much as you can. Feel your entire spine moving. Feel that movement articulating vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming back into a neutral position. And recalibrate, find the alignment, shoulders above the wrists, hips over your knees. From here, taking a step back with the right foot, press into the hands, engaging in the midsection. As you exhale, lift the seat, keeping that left knee bending. Inhale, come back lightly, tap the knee, exhale to lift. Inhale, coming down, lightly tap, and exhale, engaging from the midsection, lift the hips, and let's lift that left knee as you open the hips to stack. Press into the hands, right heel reaching down, left knee lifting up. Inhale, square the hips. As you exhale, step that foot down between the hands, ground the back knee, point the back toes to find some comfort, and then fingers coming together on the left thigh. Let your pelvis sink towards the earth here, keeping that front knee tracking over the ankle, shoulders above your wrists. And taking your time here. Bringing the hands onto the mat, curl the back toes, pick up the right knee, pick up the left foot, and squeeze that knee into your chest. Lift the hips up higher, think cat back here, engaging in the midsection, and let's step that foot back, coming into downward facing dog. And getting used to this shape. Pedal out the feet. My calf and hamstring muscles tend to get quite tight just after even a day or two of not opening them up. So make sure it's feeling good. Coming back into that tabletop from here. Curling your toes, refine the alignment, and then stepping the left foot to the back of the mat. Exhale to lift the right knee and send the hips up and back. Lightly tapping the knee on the inhale. Exhale, lifting from the midsection, send the seat up. Inhale, lightly tap the knee. Exhale, lift, and open the hip to stack above your left. Keeping the shoulders side by side. Reaching your right knee to the ceiling. Inhale, square the hips. And exhale, stepping that foot down between the hands, ground the back knee, double up on the mat at any time if you want to, fingers coming together on the left thigh. Finding your comfort here, letting your head stack above the spine, shoulders over hips. You can always have the back toes curled under as well. Steady focus. Let's bring the hands onto the mat, curl the back toes, picking up the knee and picking up the right foot, squeeze the knee into your chest. Stepping back to downward dog. And then finding stillness, or continue to move if you like. Looking for that length in your torso. And then start the movement from the tailbone, ending up in a high plank. Shoulders over wrists, heels over toes. Keeping the gaze slightly ahead of the mat, setting up for chaturanga. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, push from the ankles, rise up into your back bend, lift the chest, and take the gaze up if that's comfortable for the neck. From here, coming back into a tabletop, lower down onto your forearms, elbows underneath the shoulders. Interlace the fingers together, tucking one pinky in, stepping your feet to the back of the mat, finding your way into a plank. Your legs, your midsection, shoulders are all active here. Reach back through your heels, reach ahead from the head. Starting to add some movement if you want to here. Exhale, push from the ankles. Inhale to press back through the heels. Now you want to keep your hips level, not letting them drop or lift. Sliding back and forth in straight lines. If you want to find stillness, you can totally do that as well. Making sure your chest is not collapsing, your legs stay strong. And then exhale to bring your hips down, point the toes, and releasing the hands, coming into Sphinx. Gentle back bend here, keeping the elbows underneath your shoulders, adding movement from here. As you exhale, bring the chin to the chest, push into your feet, and the knees can lift off if you want. Inhale, back to your Sphinx. Exhale, rounding into your spine. The knees don't have to lift. Find the rhythm, find the pace that works for you here. And again, you want to try to isolate those muscles in the midsection that you're using to lift the top of the hips or the knees off the mat. And you should start to feel the lower belly really working here. We're going to come down onto our chest, bring the hands on the mat, elbows above the wrists. Curling your toes under. And then getting ready to lift from here. Start to peel your belly button off the mat and then lifting up into a supported plank. Lift the knees and transition all the way through to a downward dog. Taking the shoulders away from the ears and finding space across the upper back. To come out of the pose, inhale, shift the weight forward, coming back into your plank. Always find the alignment, shoulders over wrists, heels over toes, coming into chaturanga on the exhale. Rising up on the inhale, and exhale. One breath, one movement, downward facing dog. Inhale to lift the right leg up, and exhale, swing that leg forward, bringing the foot down. Stabilizing here, fingers together on the right thigh. Setting up into your lunge, scissoring into the hips, keeping the lower belly pulling in, tailbone reaching down. And then start to lean forward as you hinge from the hips. You can choose a chest opener from here, one that works for you. Either bring your arms and grab opposite elbows behind you or interlace the fingers together. As you lean forward, keep your lower belly pulling away from the leg and keep your head in line with the spine, gaze slightly ahead. Notice you want to keep your spine as long as possible here and keep that back leg active, reaching through the heel. Exhale to release from the chest opener, bring the hands onto the mat, and then let's step back from here into a plank. Always choosing your own transitions. You can bring the knees down for chaturanga as you exhale, lower down, inhale to lift. Spread your collarbones and exhale to lift the hips, downward facing dog. Inhale to lift the left leg from here and exhale to swing your leg forward, bringing the foot down between the hands. Take your time to find that alignment and then lifting in the torso, shoulders over the hips. scissor into your legs, right hip pushing forward, left hip pulling back, finding your chest opener. Interlace the fingers, get that long spine, and exhale to hinge from the hips. Keeping your chin tucking in towards the throat so the back of the neck stays in a long line with the spine all the way to the tailbone. Feeling your chest opening, breathing into that space, keeping that back leg strong and active. And exhale to release, bring the hands onto the mat. Stepping back from here, you can always go straight into downward dog as well and skip the chaturanga if you start to feel tired or your form starting to go. Coming out of the pose, bend the knees, look ahead and exhale, stepping your feet to the top of the mat, come up halfway, inhale, exhale, and inhale, rising up all the way. Sorry, my head got cut off there. Hands coming together and resting. Let's grab our strap from here. We're gonna work a little bit more on shoulder mobility as well as chest opening. So let's have your strap folded into half. And we're gonna grip your belt or your strap at the edges. So that you can see my head, I'm gonna make my way down onto my shins. You can do the standing as well. It's totally fine to do that. If you wanna take a break, you can sit on your shins or sit on a chair as well. Grabbing the strap at the edges, inhale, lift the arms overhead, exhale, letting the arms go behind you. Now you're gonna find this range of motion at your own pace. If you find this to be a little too easy, you can walk your hands closer to each other on the strap. And the reason why you want to use the strap here is that it keeps your arms in the same position as you go back and forth. Now, if you bring your hands a little too close, you can always just take them a little further apart again. So listen to your body, especially where you feel the most amount of resistance in your shoulders. Really slow down on that part and breathe through this range of motion. Never hold your breath. And going back and forth here at a pace that works for you. Feel your chest opening, feel your shoulders moving in that full range of motion that's available to them. And let's release from here, bring in the strap, put it off to the side. And we're going to lift out of here if you're on the mat and separate the feet, setting up for a wide-legged forward belt. Continue stretching the back of the legs. Take an inhale to hinge from the hips and exhale. Keep that long spine as you fold. You can bring your strap underneath your hands for support if you wish to. Look to tip the weight forward into your toes. And then grabbing the strap one more time, we're gonna set up for a warrior two. So I'd like you to have your left knee at the top of the mat and the right foot at the back. From here, setting up into your warrior two, either heel to heel or heel to mid-arch alignment, and open up the strap so it's even wider, and you wanna grab the strap as far as possible so you get that warrior two extension. And then using your hands, pull the strap apart. Keep that space and exhale, come into exalted warrior, letting your left hand go up while the right hand reaches back. Keep pulling the strap apart. Inhale, come back. And then transition to the other side, pivoting on your toes. Right toes point to the back of the mat, left toes to the side. Warrior two, shoulders over hips and opening into your chest by pulling that strap apart. Exhale, exalted warrior. Left hand pulling down, right hand pulling up. Keeping that space in the side body. Inhale, come back, warrior two, straightening out the leg, and let's put the strap off to the side. From here, we're going to grab our block for this next bit, placing the block at the top of your mat. We're going to step our feet closer to the middle of the mat, setting up for a balancing pose. Let's bring the big toes together, lift the toes, spread them wide, and lay them back down. Pressing down through your feet, keeping your tailbone reaching down, lift the arms up on the inhale, and we're gonna bring that right foot off the mat, flex the ankle and toes. From here, hinging from the hips as you fold in the upper body, letting that back leg lift until you're parallel to the earth with the lifted leg and your torso. If you wanna bring your hands down onto the block, you can totally do that, or you can keep your arms reaching, or even bring the palms together, chest center. For warrior three, focusing on keeping that right leg as strong as possible, and the grounding leg can be slightly bent. Think about rotating your right hip internally and getting the inner thigh to turn towards the sky. And then coming out of the pose, bend that lifted leg, bring it into your chest, and then straightening up in the torso. Stack the shoulders over the hips, and we're gonna straighten that right leg out in front of you, adding short pulses to work on the core strengthening. The tendency in this pose is sometimes to lean back in the torso. You want to stay upright as much as possible, keep that lower belly pulled in, and bring that right leg back. Coming out of the pose, shake it out. And then setting up for the other side, big toes touch, heels apart, lift the toes, spread them, lay them back down. Strong legs, active core, lift the arms on the inhale. Shifting weight to your right foot, left foot lift, flex the ankle and toes, and then coming into the same sequence on the other side. Again, you can bring your hands to the chest center right away. Focusing on pushing through that lifted leg's heel and keeping the leg as active as possible. Keeping your low belly pulled in, keep that chest lifted. And if you want to go for the full expression of Warrior 3, reaching the arms out in front of you. Again, listen to your body. Balance does change from day to day. So if you come out of a balancing pose, just take your time and get back into it. Bend the lifted leg and start to lift up in the torso as you straighten up, pushing the left heel forward, flex the toes towards you, and add those short pulses. Keeping the grounding leg just slightly bent, the muscles around the joint are active. Keep your pulses controlled, try not to lean back. And then stepping that foot back in, shake it out. Putting the block off to the side, and we're going to make our way back to the top of the mat, getting ready for Utkatasana. Big toes touch, heels apart, sit into that chair. And take a step back with the right foot for Warrior 2. Arms reaching in opposite directions, bending into the front leg, pushing through the back leg. From here, extended side angled pose. Right arm coming up and overhead. If you want to, you can reach the left hand down. If you want to grab a block, you can, or you can keep that left elbow pressing against the thigh. You want to get a long line from your top hand all the way to the back leg. If you want to, you can reach both arms as well and find that strength in the midsection, keeping your oblique muscles active. Your base is solid all the way through, coming back on the inhale to Warrior 2. From here, we're going to set up for Trikonasana, straightening out the front leg, tucking that hip in, and reach the left hand forward with the right arm reaching up. Always an option to grab a block, choosing a setting that feels good, and keeping the space in the sides of your torso. Something to focus on for today's class is to not compress into your sides, but keep that length. And as you transition to Warrior 2, walking that back foot closer to the body and then lifting it up once it feels light. Letting your hips and chest face to the side, grounding leg slightly bent, lifted leg completely straight, pushing from the heel and pulling with the toes. Coming out of the pose, turn the hips and chest to face down and sitting into Utkatasana. Palms together. From here, we're going to take a step back with the left foot. Finding your Warrior 2, heel to heel or heel to mid-arch alignment. Looking past the right hand, stabilizing, and then start to reach that right hand forward, elbow coming down, left arm coming up and over. Uttita Parshva Konasana, extended side angle pose. Choosing the option here that works best for you. If you want to bring the hand down or reach it forward or keep it exactly where it is, totally fine. Just make sure your back leg stays active and you're pushing through the outer edge of the left leg. Look to rotate the chest to the ceiling. Inhale, coming back, Warrior 2, setting up for Trikonasana. Right leg straightens, right hand reaches forward, and then bring that hand down to your shin or to a block while the left arm reaches. Finding yourself a point of focus, drishti, whether it's to the side, whether it's down or up. Inhale, come back, straightening the torso, setting up into that Warrior 2, and then transitioning from here towards half moon. Walking the left foot closer to the body. Notice the sides of the torso keep long here, so your spine is not curving. You want to keep that spine long. Right shoulder above right wrist and left wrist above left shoulder as much as possible. Coming out of the pose and sitting into Utkatasana. Here you want to have your big toes together, knees squeezing, and then exhale to twist. Notice I'm keeping the arm away from the leg so your obliques stay active all the way through, not losing that strength. And then inhale, come back, exhale to the other side. Come back center and exhale, fold. Taking the feet to the edge of your mat and moving the hips from side to side. And feel the weight shifting from one hip into the other, really pressing your femur right into the pelvis. Coming back towards center, inhale, halfway lift, taking a breath and then coming all the way up. From the top of your mat, setting up for some flows. Inhale, lift the arms overhead, sitting into the chair, Utkatasana. Exhale, folding. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, transition from here all the way through to your downward dog. One breath, one movement, keeping your movements controlled. From your downward dog, inhale, right leg lift. Exhale, swing that leg forward, plant the foot down. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, picking up the pace just a little bit here. Crescent lunge, reaching your fingers back. Inhale, come back to high lunge. Grabbing your left wrist with the right hand, folding to the right side. Inhale, come back center. And exhale, folding and pausing at about 45 degrees. Bring the palms together, your chest center, and then twisting on the exhale over to the right side, keeping the arm away from the leg. Inhale, coming out of the twist. Exhale, releasing from the pose. Plant the hands down, stepping back, maybe keeping that leg lifted for the transition. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, rise up to your back bend. Exhale, lift the hips, downward dog. Breathe in, lift the left leg from here, and exhale to swing that leg, planting the foot down. Lift the arms overhead, high lunge. Adding a back bend, fingers reaching back. Lots of space through your spine and the torso. Inhale, high lunge, grabbing your right wrist with the left hand and folding to the left side. Inhale, come back center, separate the hands, leaning forward, and bring the palms together to your chest center, setting up for the other side. Keep pulling your lower belly away from the inner thigh while you twist, reaching the elbow across the body, but not letting it rest on the leg. Inhale, come back center, exhale, release, plant your hands down, and step back from here, choosing your transitions. Let's meet in downward dog. Inhale, bend the knees, look ahead on the exhale, stepping or hopping to the top. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, release. Utkatasana, sitting into that chair, arms up by the ears. Take the gaze up, inhale, standing, and exhale, release the hands down through chest center. From here, we're going to take our feet, separate them shoulder width apart, setting up into a Malasana with your knees and toes pointing out in the same direction. If you want to grab your block for some support underneath the seat here to get comfortable, please do that, and grab your strap. We'll keep it handy as well. If you want to go a little bit further in your Malasana today, you can lift the arms up in front of you. And then we're going to do some Malasana squats on the exhale, lifting from here, keeping the arms out in front of you, or you can bring the hands onto your waist, totally your choice. Going up and down with control, not letting gravity take over on the way down. If you are using that block, lightly tap your seat on that block and then lifting on the exhale. Doing this 10 times in total, keeping the movements controlled, keeping your feet firmly planted, and listening to your knees. If they're giving you pain or any kind of discomfort here, you can skip this and stay in Malasana. If you want to make this slightly more challenging, you can grab your strap and we're going to fold it 2 times, so it's going to end up at about the width of your shoulders. And again, keep in mind this part is optional. If you want to add in some more work for the shoulders, lift the hands out in front of you. Keep that strap nice and taut as if you're trying to rip it in half. And then on the way up, lift the arms overhead and exhale, reaching the strap directly out in front of you. We'll do 5 more just like that. Working on your legs, your quads, the glutes, everything working together, keeping the core active all the way through so your spine stays long, your torso stays lifted. And then releasing out of this pose, putting off the props to the side, bring your seat down and setting up for some windshield wipers here. Moving the hips side to side, lightly tap the knees. And then coming into Baddha Konasana, the inner thigh stretch, grabbing your feet, and pulling your knees down closer to the ground beside you. Lifting in the chest, think about rotating the arm bones externally. So feel that spread across the chest and letting your knees come closer to the ground. Wherever they are today, it's all good. If you want to fold in this pose, you can do that or stay upright. Totally your choice. From here, we're going to set up for a Navasana. So I'd like you to grab your block and bring that block in between the thighs. We're going to do a bit of a modified Navasana today. What I'd like you to do is rock back and forth and feel the weight on your sit bones as opposed to on your tailbone. Let your thighs and your chest be really close together. And then if you want to keep the feet planted, you can totally do that, and just working on lifting one leg off at a time. So your inner thighs are working, you're squeezing the block between your legs. You're not letting the weight go onto your tailbone, keeping it on the seat. If you want to go with both feet off the ground, just working on strengthening in that midsection, really keeping that lower belly working the entire time. And then the hip flexors get a little tight through that, so let's stretch them out by coming into reverse tabletop. Knees, hips, and shoulders all at the same height. And you want the knees above the ankles, the shoulders over the wrists as much as possible. And then releasing from the pose, bringing the seat down, straightening out the legs from here, setting up into a Dandasana. If you want to grab your strap for that, you can totally do that. If you find that your lower back tends to round or your hamstrings a little bit tighter today, grab that strap and bring it around the feet. You want to keep that spine nice and long all the way through. Again, you can always keep your knees slightly bent, as that gets you a nicer stretch in the hamstring as opposed to keeping the legs straight and rounding in the spine. Think about moving the shoulders away from the ears, letting your chin come closer to your toes. Paschimottanasana, stretching out the back body here. And then releasing as you inhale, rise up. Putting the strap off to the side, we're going to sit in Dandasana, lift the arms overhead, and then exhale, twisting open to the right side, letting your fingers give you support beside you. You can take that left hand and press it on the right knee and use that to go deeper into your twist, using that back hand to help you find height. And then on the exhale, leaning back, bringing the right elbow on the mat, elbow underneath the shoulder, setting up into a side plank variation. You can stack your feet on top of each other, finding a drishti from here, and choosing to keep your left leg up or down is totally your choice. Just make sure you're pushing down through the outer edge of your right foot and the bottom arm. Releasing out of this pose, and then coming back into your Dandasana, flexing the ankle and toes. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, exhale, twist open to your left side. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to twist. Looking past the left shoulder, and then getting ready for that side plank as you bring the forearm down, elbow underneath the shoulder, turning the hips and chest to face to the side, right leg stacking over the left, reaching up with your left hand, maybe lifting that top leg off the mat to further challenge your core. Steady focus, even breath wherever you are. And then releasing out of the pose, bring the seat onto the mat, coming into your Dandasana. You guys are doing great. We've pretty much made it through the difficult part of the class. Stretching out the hip flexors, coming into Purvottanasana, upside down plank. Lift the chest, lift the hips. Maybe letting your head drop back if that feels good for the neck here. Maintain that strong point in your toes. As you release the seat down, bend the knees. And then we're going to come onto our back just like we came off of it. Reach the arms overhead and then release your spine down with control, bringing down vertebrae by vertebrae and not letting your feet lift off the mat. So challenging your strength here. If you want to take your time and maybe add in some more core work, you can totally do that. If you're ready to start finishing up the class, walk the feet closer, setting up into that bridge alignment. Knees above your ankles, rolling the shoulders underneath as an option. Bring your chest towards your chin, lift the hips up, and pushing down through the hands and the feet. Keeping the back of your neck long. If you want to find a variation of your bridge, you can do that. Coming out of the pose, bring the knees into your chest and wrap the arms around the shins. And setting up, if you want to grab that block, bring it between your thighs to keep the inner thighs working. Sometimes the knees start to open outwards in the back bend. You want to prevent that from happening, so bring that block, secure it between the thighs, maybe taking wheel option this time, hands by the ears, or bridge, whichever you like, and then lifting the hips, lift the chest. If you're going for wheel, think about straightening the arms and the legs as much as you can. Always coming out of the pose with control. Bring the shoulders down, bring the seat down, and let's lift the legs, bring them into your chest, arms wrapping around the shins. Really nice work today. Setting up for a twist. Open the arms into a wide T. Make the adjustments that you need to, and exhale to bring the legs down to the right side. You can use that right hand to gently add some pressure to bring the legs down, or you can straighten one or both legs. I like to grab the big toe of the straight leg with my peace fingers and really work on that stretch in the glutes on the top leg. Keeping supported across the upper back. Breathing into this stretch and just start to slow the practice down. Inhale, come back to center, exhale, and dropping the legs to the other side. Taking the gaze to the right if that feels comfortable. And then you don't have to choose the same variation on this side. If it feels better to do a different variation, please do so. Releasing the leg, bring it back on the inhale. Squeeze the knees and the arms, getting as tight in the body as you can here. And then getting ready to do one last core strengthening exercise. You want to keep the lower back pressing against the mat, knees above your hips, shins are parallel, and pressing the hands onto your kneecaps. From here, you're going to try to bring your legs into your chest, but you're going to resist with your hands and push away. So you're using your own body's strength to push and pull. It might look like you're just sitting and lying on your mat, not really doing much, but you can really activate the core if you want to here. So ramp up a little bit if you want to, or you can ease up coming out of the pose. And then to release those hip flexors, coming back into Setu Bandhasana, one last bridge. Lifting your seat, lifting your chest. And then from here, getting ready to close out the practice today with our final pose, Savasana. If you want to grab a sip of water, get comfortable. If you want to keep your knees bent, any of the options in your Savasana are totally fine. Just make sure you're feeling comfortable, you're feeling relaxed. Feel the support of the ground underneath you. Allow the eyes and the tongue to drop back, relaxing your jaw. Relax the space between the eyebrows and across the forehead. Soften the throat, letting your shoulders and arms get heavier, allowing the entire spine to feel supported. Release the lower back and the hips. Soften the back of the knees and relax the ankles and the toes. Letting your mind and body drift away into Shavasana. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Stay in Shavasana as long as you like. I'll see you on your mat next time. Until then, it's the Kaizen Man signing out.